Fixed gear is all about building a bike that uniquely expresses who you are, because the bikes are so simple and so customizable, and arguably the most important part of the fixed gear as well, the gearing. So that's why everybody rides the same 48-17 gear ratio, plus or minus one tooth on the chainring. Is 48-17 actually the best fixed gear ratio? Or does everybody ride it just because that's what our friends tried, that's what we tried, and that's what we're used to? I've actually tried out 49-20 on my Wabi Special for about the past year. It's significantly spinnier, and I ended up really liking it to the point that it's just become my main gear ratio. But now I've got 49-17, just the standard ratio, back on the Wabi Special, to see if I like it. And I'm going to be doing some climbing, about 1,100 feet of climbing over 26 miles up to Folsom Lake. So I want to see if we are born spinners or grinders, or if we just end up liking the ratios that we get used to. I think most fixed gear riders default to 48-17 because it really excels at this kind of stuff, which is where most fixed gear riders are riding. Just flat land, maybe some rolling hills here or there, but nothing too crazy. And it feels good over all of it, even against this gnarly headwind. But after I've been riding spinnier gear ratios on both my Wabi Special and my Wabi Thunder, I am even starting to feel that my legs aren't quite conditioned to 48-17 biking. I ride that all the time on 49-20. Don't feel it at all, but I'm a little winded with this ratio. Something I find that I'm needing to remind myself of is that on a bigger gear ratio, it feels better to attack the little hills from the bottom and have your speed take you up the hill. Because when I'm riding a spinnier gear ratio, I find that my speed more or less stays the same, whether I'm going flat, uphill, or downhill. Just kind of evens out a bit more. But on the 48-17, I find that there's more peaks and valleys with my speed. Not as smooth of an experience, but on 48-17 I feel like it's a lot chiller to bike on the flats, and that I don't have to work as hard overall. It's just like when there is uphill sections, it starts to feel brutal. Most people stop the ride here because once you cross this street, it's all uphill from here for the most part. And the rest of this way where we just came from is flat. But I need the hill. Still got the skids. It's also easier to skid and slow down on a lighter gear ratio. Glad I can still do it on 48-17. A lot of roadies like to huck it blind around that corner going into the opposite lane. Hence the bell. You can see way over there, those hills. I promise they're bigger in real life. That's what she said. That's what he said. But that's where I'm going. Right now it's still a little flat. We're at a dam at the river, but we're going upstream, up into the hills. I definitely feel the hill. It's very slight, but I'm still able to keep up a comfortable cadence, sit in the saddle. A couple months ago, I rode this with my 49-20. I stayed in the saddle for probably 90% of the climb, just counting each pedal stroke, making sure I don't lose my momentum. It definitely requires a lot more focus on the bigger gear ratio. And this is where the steepest part is. Oh, Yeah, those muscles are, they're gone. It's windy today too. This is no longer a comfortable cadence. This is proper slogging up the hill. Lots of e-bikers that look like they're having a great time. In my mind, I'm like, I know I can push harder than this, but my legs are just like, we're tapped out. Serpentine. Almost there, 1 mile. My goal is to not get passed by anybody on a geared bike. And that's the top. I thought it would be way harder because I just don't really have those big gear ratio pushing muscles anymore. But it turns out that like, I actually found it way easier after riding like a spin to wind gear ratio for so long, because just my lungs can keep up with my muscles. Getting up here was pretty chill. It only took 1 hour at a conversational pace, which is not bad for a mostly uphill ride on a fixed gear. By the way, this video is sponsored by Wabi Cycles. If you could get any gear ratio you want out of the box, and that's just kind of their whole shtick, is that their bikes don't really need to be upgraded out of the box. I mean, mine is bougie up, but you know, it's just for the fixie points. But you can customize your bike build however you want. Just contact them at wabicycles.com. I changed over to my main ratio being 49/20. Is that I had a knee injury. Yeah, I know, like fixed gear knee injury, what else is new? But it was not from what you think. A lot of people think that fixed gear is bad for your knees because when you backpedal and skid, you're like pulling your knee apart and the knee is like very complex. That's not what the sports injury doctor told me. He said that the muscles on this side of the leg were too strong compared to the muscles on the inside of the leg, so these muscles were actually pulling my kneecap. And so the spin to wind ratio was an idea to just help build up this side of the leg, and it worked for the most part. I haven't really had any knee pain until now. So it does seem like I still have some rehabilitation to go if I do want to go back to 49/17, which I might. Weird. Maybe it's not just what we get used to is what we like. Maybe we actually just like spinnier or grindier ratios depending on our own personal preferences. In my mind, I really liked the spin to wind ratio, but after going back and climbing on this feels really good to me. The doctor told me to do this stretch every day to relax the muscles on the outside of my leg. That was 2.5 years ago. I have not been doing this. Downhills are also a lot nicer on the 48/17, 49/17. Like, I can just mentally coast. Obviously not actually coasting, but mentally. I don't have to like try to keep up with my bike. My knee does feel better after stretching. I think doctors might know something. On my way up, I did see a fair amount of bikers going down. And on my way down, I'm seeing a fair amount going up. So that means that with this gear ratio, I'm just fast enough to keep up with the gear bikers. Logically. Feels so cool. I get why everyone rides this ratio. It does everything pretty well. You can stop pretty well too. And the downhills are great. And it ramps up super well without having to like give me an asthma attack. That was a bee in my ear. I am just really liking the higher gear ratio. I think I'm just a grinder at heart. And I was totally expecting, because when I ride 4920, I really like it. I really, really, really like it. When I'm riding 4917, the ride feels way shorter, and I think it has to do with the fact that my heart rate is lower and that I don't have to breathe as heavily, so it feels more chill even though I'm working out my muscles more. And as somebody with asthma, that makes a pretty big difference. And for the foreseeable future, I'm going to keep riding 4917. I'm having a lot of fun. The only drawback for me is that I need to be more diligent about stretching and foam rolling because of my knee injury. The cost of being buff in my joints. It's literally just my right knee, but it's enough to make me worry. But if you want fixie points worry-free, check out the Chain Gang Bracelet, which is made out of DID Racing Pro links at zachy.com/merch. I think it really comes down to our preferred cadence. Why we prefer one cadence over the other, I don't know, but it just seems like I prefer something between like 70 to 80 RPM for my cadence. If we look at like this gear inch or gear ratio cadence calculator, like my preferred is between 70 and 80. So then on 4917, I'm riding between 16 to 18.5 miles an hour. But then on 4920, it's significantly slower. So it's between like 13.8 to 15.7 miles an hour. And if I want to get up to that speed, I have to be spinning probably about 95 RPM, which just feels like it's working really hard and it's taxing my lungs a lot. And don't get me wrong, I have loved riding spin to win and it has made me stronger. And I've noticed that my cardio is significantly better. With barely any training, I went out for a run, and for the first time in my life, I ran 4 miles straight at my high school mile speed. Like, that is insane to me. That I am just like way fitter now than I was in high school. High school was 11 years ago for me. And a lot of that credit goes to the spin to win ratio, but this is fun. Maybe 48-17 is just the best gear ratio for most people if you like grinding. It does everything.